Good morning on this fabulous Wednesday morning. Getting ready for couples weekend over near Tampa in just 2 days. So looking forward to that. But we have something serious we need to talk about this morning as we get started.
Oh, no.
One of Lysandra's heroes.
Oh, why would you even talk about this?
Died.
Now I'm going to be sad again.
Angela Lansbury, Lysandra's absolute favorite person in the world, including me, passed away yesterday. So we had a sorrowful evening.
We did. And he's trying to make it a sorrowful morning.
But she got to watch Jessica Fletcher on the big TV.
On the big TV. Usually if I want to watch Murder, She Wrote, I have to use my little phone and my earbuds while he's watching football on the giant screen, which I don't even know why you need a big screen to watch football. I need a giant screen for Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, right.
So last night I got the big TV and we all watched Murder, She Wrote and said goodbye to our dear friend.
So, yeah, it was a rough night. But
yes, but I've been doing fine this morning until
now.
Now, thank you.
Yeah, I figured recording the podcast, it's a good time just to vent and grieve,
And cry uncontrollably.
Yes, that's a part of our openness and authenticity that we share with our viewers. So
yeah, but you never cry on camera.
I'm on the verge of crying for her.
You are
She
not.
was a big part of my life.
You're a liar.
But I love you. I know it's bothering me right now. So
thanks.
Yeah, so I thought I'd bring it up.
You're a terrible husband. That's what this family meeting podcast is all about.
And that's what
it's
I'm
about
trying to say.
people seeing what a bad husband is. Don't be like this guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm setting the example so husbands know what not to do.
Yeah.
Someone has to be that for the men out there. And it's my cross to bear. So what are you going to do?
Well, you have done a phenomenal job of setting the bar low.
Well, you're welcome, guys. All right. We ready to gather around?
I am. These lights are really bright today because it's so dark and rainy outside. So our lights in here are really bright. I feel like I'm being blinded.
Well, I don't know. It's dark and rainy. It's not sunrise yet, so.
Oh yeah, we're really early this morning.
We've got a lot to do.
That's why we have bags under our eyes.
Well, I have that because I'm old, but.
Whew. All right.
That's why I have bags under my eyes. In fact, one of the things I've noticed, and we've talked about this before, is my eyes are like starting to droop, and before long the skin over my eye is going to be covering my eye.
People have to get legitimate medical surgery for their vision to be able to continue to drive and stuff.
So I probably will have to do that.
I suspect you will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Would you just do that for me?
I will not.
Oh, okay, just checking.
But I love you.
Just slice a little and then you just staple it up higher.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Go introduce the family meeting.
You ready to gather around?
Yeah.
Okay. You're the one that brought up droopy eyes. I didn't.
Oh, what? I brought up bags under the eyes. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
We're back off track again. Go.
I know. All right. Let's do this. Guys ready?
They're ready.
Gather around, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The family meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Ostracamps. I'm Droopy Eye. This is my wife, Lysandra.
Finally, you get called something stupid.
Because I knew that one would get you.
It got me.
I knew it would.
Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 107 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to dig a little deeper into the last stage of parenting, the friendship stage, the stage in which you parent adult children. And last week we looked at the different stages of parenting, and we started at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Oh boy!
Sound of Music, anyone?
Yeah, she is your last hero standing, right?
Are you going to do this to me?
Julie Andrews.
Yeah,
right?
I love Julie Andrews.
So
yes, love her.
She's what Lysandra has left. Last night, Lysandra's ultimate hero, Angela Lansbury, passed away.
She did. I'm very sad about that.
So this episode is in memory of Angela Lansbury.
Yes.
And we appreciate the legacy that you have left.
Yes. And apparently she was a good mother to her adult children. She had 3 children.
You said she was married for how many years?
53 years. Like that's
Hollywood. That's insane.
That's impressive in a regular everyday life, but in Hollywood, and in show business, I guess.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. So I think she was a good lady.
I think so. We are just 2 days away from Sweet Talk, couples weekend for fellowship over in Thanatisasa.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of
Wait.
Tampa.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I haven't packed yet, but I was thinking about, man, I just need to pack today because I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's getting so close. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this the other day. So as a pastor, you kind of get into the rhythm and routine of how your church and congregation works. Mm-hmm. We only have one Sunday service at Beachside. And just a couple of days ago, I was just looking through some stuff for fellowship because I always try to make sure I'm appropriate for whatever congregation I'm going to be speaking at.
Right, that's good.
And I saw their schedule is they have 2 services. And so I was like, oh no, I got to preach twice on Sunday.
How do you feel about it?
I hope and I'll have the endurance because I remember when we went to 2 services at Good News because of the pandemic, it took a little while to get used to preaching 2 services. I was absolutely exhausted. Mm-hmm. So,
well, what's funny is you're going to preach those 2 sermons, those services, after having done the marriage conference, and then you have to drive 3.5 hours back home.
That's three sessions, 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, preaching twice Sunday. It's going to be a long weekend, but it's going to be so fun.
It will be awesome. Like we're so looking forward to it. We love interacting with new couples.
There is still time for you to register if you want to come. If you go to fellowship301.org and you'll see the Sweet Talk stuff there and you can register straight from their website. So we'd love to be able to see you and you can come hang out with us for a little while. We'll have a good time together.
Exactly. Can't wait. But let's talk about parenting adult children.
We're getting there very soon. It won't be long.
And we started last week. This is kind of our 2-part series on stages of parenting, but we never have really done an adult stage parenting episode. So last week we started at the very beginning with parenting infants during the nurturing stage, followed by the training stage, the guidance stage of parenting, into the apprentice stage, the coaching stage, and lastly, the parenting stage of friendship stage of parenting. Excuse me.
It's early.
It's early. I need more coffee or something.
Sun is not even up, and yet here we are with the lights in our eyes, microphones in our face.
Yes.
And we're here for all of you. Now, one of the reasons we haven't really talked about parenting the adult stage is because we don't really want to think about that.
I know.
But our kids are so close that we have to think about it. We have to prepare ourselves. And one of the things that we talked about last week, and I would encourage you to go back and listen to episode 106 if you've not yet, is we've talked about the fact of preparing yourself for the next parenting stage and equipping your children for the next stage of their life. So, we've got 16-year-old, 15-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old. We have to prepare ourselves for this stage.
Yeah, and I feel like this episode is for us.
Oh, definitely.
This is our episode. Like, we needed this episode, and this episode is a little different in that this is not like information that is original to us. This is not information that we have kind of talked out and
it's not our experience.
No, and this is us learning from other parents.
So we reached out to parents of adult children all over the place and had some great conversations, got some great advice. So most of the things that we're going to share with you today come from our listeners, come from our friends and the people that we know, love, and respect. So,
and it's good. It's good stuff.
We want to say thank you to everybody who put input into this episode. We won't call out your names because you didn't give us permission to, that I know of. So
Some did, some didn't, but we're just not going to use any names.
Okay, so I'll figure out who's who.
Oh, you going to guess?
And I will. I didn't see who put in what.
No,
so.
You didn't know. You just got the information.
Yeah.
I took out all names. So
Last time we did a lesson like this, I figured out a couple, but I don't know about this.
Yeah, we've done episodes on like step parenting, which we of course have not. We're not in that. Blended families, recovering from an affair, things like that. We've had to reach out to other people for some advice and information.
So this anonymous parent of adult children said this. We talked about how our children grow and change significantly over the years, and it is vital that our parenting style changes as well. And that's one of the things we really hit on hard in the last episode. If our parenting doesn't change over the years, our kids are going to resent us and pull away, seeking that independence they're growing into. It's hard on kids to adjust to the different stages they go through, but it's equally as hard on parents. And that's one of the things that I never really thought of. Like, I have spent time thinking about the fact that, yes, it's hard for kids to go through these different transitions and changes and stages of their own life. But I've never really thought about how hard it is as a parent to step outside of these stages and parent in the next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like I was just talking with Mike, our local fire chief, yesterday. We had lunch together, and we were just talking about kids and parenting and everything else. And one of the things that we talked about was control.
Yeah.
When they're young, we have a lot of control as far as even dressing all four of our daughters exactly the same.
The good old controlling years. I miss them.
Yes. And how hard it was on you to kind of let that go. And that was one of the conversations we had to have when our kids were young was, hey, they love this now, but the day is going to come when they're like, no, I don't want it. It's not cool to dress like my sister anymore, or all three of my sisters.
Right.
So it is hard on parents. And for 18 years, you've met your child's everyday needs. And then all of a sudden, they're out on their own making decisions. And today, we want to focus on that last stage of parenting in which your child is grown. So they're out of the house. They're living independently of mom and dad. And we're not there yet, but we are so close. And we are opening up that door and letting them make a lot of choices and step outside of our house and, have that sense of independence and make some choices and either succeed or fail in safe areas based upon their choices. But we're getting closer and closer.
Right. And I love that you talked to Mike the other day, and I think that's really important that that we do that we reach out to other parents who have been there and ask people we trust who are just ahead of us in parenting, hear what they've learned, maybe learn from their mistakes and their successes. It would be beneficial for each of us to gain from their advice, gather information, ask questions. I love asking questions. I do that a lot. And I can gather a lot of information that way. So today, on today's episode, we have to start from the most popular advice. So as we polled our friends, our listeners, different people in our lives who are ahead of us, this first thing that we're going to talk about today is what the majority of the people all said. And I love that.
So we're going from most popular to least popular.
Not necessarily. There was only a most popular.
Okay.
There was not a least popular. After that, it was all varied. But several, I would say the majority said this one. I wonder if anybody can guess what it is.
If I had to make one guess, I would say pray.
You are right.
Oh, yes. Nailed it.
Wow. You are
Nailed
so
it.
good. What a parent you are.
Because that's the advice I would give.
I know, right? But the majority of the people said the best thing you can do for your adult children is to pray for them. I love that advice.
That would probably be good advice for every stage.
Yes.
I need a lot of prayer.
I agree. I'm praying for you right now.
Good.
I'm praying we can get through this episode.
But one mother of adult children said this: on a personal basis, pray over them, under them, around them, for them, morning, noon, and night. Never, ever stop. Pray a lot. One of our daughters is 21. So let's see. Who do I know with a 21-year-old daughter? Lives at home and does not go out the door without me praying with her. Just pray together this morning. And I think that's
that
so
cool?
cool that they have such a relationship that it's like, okay, you're getting ready to leave. And she's 21. She can go do whatever she wants to do. She doesn't have to pray with her mom. She chooses to do that, and they have that relationship and that time together, which I think is awesome.
This is something that I really want to implement in our lives. I really want to pray more with our children. We do pray with our children. We do pray for them. But I don't think we do it enough. I think we need to up our game in this area.
Especially as they coming to adulthood. Mm-hmm. Another parent said, praying daily that God would put someone in their path to encourage them to follow Jesus.
Wow.
And I like that.
That's a good specific prayer.
Because you're thinking about, okay, who are they going to come in contact with? One mom said it emphatically, pray a lot.
All caps, exclamation points.
And we're seeing a theme here, aren't we? Mm-hmm. This, of course, applies to every stage of parenting. But in the adult stage, there's a lot of letting go. And prayer is something that you can actively do for your adult children. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot for our adult children that we can't or shouldn't do.
Yes.
But we can always pray.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so pray is the one that really hit the top of the charts. But now we're going to look at just all the different varied advice here. You might want to get out your notepad and take some notes because there's going to be a lot of information here.
Or like one listener we know, listen on half speed.
Do not listen on half speed. It's really creepy. But if you listen on double speed, we sound like chipmunks.
Yeah. You won't get the information if you listen on double speed.
Right, because we don't talk slow enough.
But turn us to half speed and you'll be able to write it down, and you'll also
That's true.
Enjoy listening to Lysandra sound drunk.
I do sound drunk on half speed. It's really funny. Okay. So here's what one parent said. I would say being supportive and encouraging, but not being afraid to speak up with advice when you see them headed down a wrong path. And that's interesting because I think a lot of times you hear like, don't give advice when you're not asked, which I'm sure that that's good advice as well. But is there a time, Thomas, in your opinion, is there a time when you see your adult children going down a wrong path? They haven't asked for advice, but maybe you should speak up?
Well, I think if it's going to be detrimental to them and have severe repercussions, yes.
Yeah.
You should speak up. Now, we've talked about this before. There's a right time to have these conversations. There's a right way to have these conversations. The words you choose, the tone of voice, the setting, all those things matter. But if my daughters are going to make a choice that is going to have lasting repercussions, then it's my responsibility as their parent to say something. Now, what they choose to do after that is up to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they make their own choices. But just because they're adults now doesn't mean we should just stand back and watch them, severely. I don't want to say ruin their life, but cause repercussions that will last a long time.
Well, and like you said, it's the way that you do it. Timing, yes, and the way. I think of all those sitcoms with the meddling mother, and it's like, interesting choice with your eyebrows raised. That's not the way to give advice. That's just criticizing and making them feel bad. But doing it in the right way, I think it really can be a good thing.
Well, and one of the things we touched on last episode was everything that we're doing in every stage, starting at the very beginning when they're infants, is to lead up to this stage of adulthood. So I'm having conversations with my kids all along the way. I'm building trust. I'm building rapport. I'm creating this social influence. So I have the permission to speak into their life.
Absolutely.
And so everything we've done up to this point is for the purpose for what we're talking about right now, when they are adults, and what they do really matters.
Yes, absolutely. Here's some good advice from one parent. Listen to your adult children and hear them. The word hear in all caps. We have to listen, but actually hear them. Sometimes they're asking for help, they say, without actually asking. And this will help us to know how to pray for them as well. So there's prayer again. And it will also help us to know if they have any mental health items that need to be addressed. Now, that's very interesting because there are some parents who have adult children who are going to have some mental health issues. That is a reality in our world. And how are we going to know that? Well, we've got to listen and we've got to hear and pay attention to what they need and be there to help with whatever maybe needs to be addressed.
This next one, they say, I strive to maintain relationship with them through being available, keeping lines of communication open via texting, FaceTiming, phone calls, and regular visits, praying for them, and including them in family activities. We try to keep our home open for family dinners and scheduling time to see one another, which I love. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something you start to do in the parenting stage that we're in.
Yeah.
Is to make sure those lines of communication are open. So we have a group text for our family. So, and it is just like our family meetings, it is a wide variety of information that you would get on there. If you scrolled through there, you would see memes, you would see jokes, you would see scheduling talk, like all this
old
stuff.
Pictures of them when they were little and cute.
Yep. So we've started that, and I love what they're talking about here is, hey, my door's always open. My home's always open. You know, if you need a meal or you want a meal, you want to spend time, you know, come on in.
Well, and I see that scheduling time to see one another. That's the parent making the effort. If we sit around all mopey, like, my kids didn't come to see me, you know, well, did you invite them over? Did you schedule a time? Like, let's be proactive here and not just sit around and wait for our adult children to come to us. But I love this. This parent is scheduling time and really trying to make that effort to see her adult children. I love that.
Well, and depending on the circumstance or the personality of your child, it might not be, you might not be able to nail down a specific, okay, I know they're going to be here at this time. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is just have the open invitation. Hey, yeah. I'm making lasagna on Sunday for lunch. I'd love for you to be there. If you can be there, you know, just come on and bring some garlic bread or something like that.
If you have to bribe your children with their favorite meal, is that okay?
Oh, totally.
Because I definitely plan to do that.
But they continue on and say, I try to be an encouragement to them with sharing truth and giving counsel when asked. But she says it's, you know, just example. That's the biggest thing.
Being the example. All right, what about when your adult children begin to get married?
Ooh, don't say the M word.
Oh man, the family dynamic is going to shift. Everything changes. New people are introduced into the family and everything's different. I think most families have a desire to welcome in the new in-laws. I think so.
Well, it depends on who they are. I mean,
yeah, it really depends. Man, the amount.
If your daughter brings home some loser.
Oh, gosh.
Your parents know what that's about. I mean, when I walked in the door, it was like, oh, jeez.
Yes. But you know what? I feel like they really accepted you in spite of it.
They did. They really did.
Okay. You're not a loser. I just feel like I need to say that.
You're not a total loser.
Okay. So let's listen to what one mom said as people are introduced into the family. Our desire was always to grow our family. As our children marry and start having families of their own, even though our children leave and cleave to their spouse, we view that as adding sons and daughters to our family. It's not that you've lost your son or daughter to their new married spouse, but you've added to your family.
And we obviously don't have sons other than Coconut.
Coconut's our dog. I just want people to know that in case they think we have a little boy running around named Coconut. An actual son named Coconut?
Yeah. So I am looking forward to, I'm not looking forward to the whole dating and getting to that point, man. But I'm looking forward to having son-in-laws, you know, that are my sons and that I can have as sons. Yeah. So I think that'll be great. I love the mindset of these parents here, which is the mindset that your parents have modeled.
Yeah, I believe they have too. Okay, so another thing that this parent has done with regards of holidays is to avoid having my in-laws choose where they have to spend the holiday. I've done this by selecting alternative days to have our family celebrations. It's more important to me to have time with them than have the rights to the holiday date. Having 2 married adult children so far, it's always been a priority to have a relationship with their wives. Now, I love this, and this is what my family has done. We have not had our family Christmas or Thanksgiving in the past on the day of.
Yeah.
It's always been a different day. Like, I think we did like Christmas on Thanksgiving so that all the spouses could be with their families on Christmas Day. And we've done Easter whenever we needed to. But in our case, a lot of times what we've done is we've been like, we're having Easter at our house. Both sides of the families are invited. But anyway, it's just an interesting, I like this thought. You don't have to spend that exact day together. Pick a day you're going to celebrate and make it more about getting together with the family than the day you do it.
Yeah, because it's not worth fighting about. It's not worth making anybody angry and severing a relationship, because the bottom line, the day doesn't matter. And if you have somebody who doesn't understand that, like whoever our girls end up with, like if their family doesn't understand that the actual day doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter to me if we celebrate Christmas on December 25th, 26th, or whatever. It's the time spent together that really matters. So
yes.
they have such a great attitude of, hey, no problem. You know, if you want to do your own thing on that day, or if you are going to go to the other side, the outlaws, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll have our time when we can have our time.
Well, and this mom talks about her son's wives trying to include them in the things that they do and be considerate of their needs and attentive to that, investing in them, be it time, small gifts of thoughtfulness, and communicating with them. So those are some good ideas of how you can encourage your adult children's wives or husbands.
And she does hit on something that I think is super important, the communication there. Keeping those lines of communication open, not just hoping they show up on a certain holiday if it's really important to you, or a birthday or whatever else. But hey, let's communicate, let's talk, let's figure out what the actual plan's going to be. You know, when children are infants, you provide them care and love and nourishment and basic needs. You pray for them when they are little and train them in the way that they should go as little children. You're investing in the training, teaching them correct behavior, kindness, service, obedience, and all those things. And when they enter their teen years, you are providing influence and guidance, drawing from scriptures that you have taught them and truths that they know. When they're older teens, you are guiding them to acts of service and opportunities to put others before themselves, applying work ethic and diligence in what they put their hands to. You're equipping them to be in the world and not of it. And as adults, you are shooting your arrows into the world, still being a resource of counsel and encouragement, but understanding that they will be making their own decisions for themselves and for their families.
That's very good. We have so many listeners with wide variety of situations.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of different situations with adult children out there. And it was really great to hear from so many different perspectives. So here we want to take a little shift and talk to some listeners who have adult children who are either not following Jesus or maybe struggling a little more in their relationships. Maybe there's some tension there, some step parenting going on and things like that. So we want to kind of shift the focus and talk about what if your children who are adults are struggling a little.
Which I'm glad we got this point of view, because relationships are tricky. They're complicated, and they don't always go the way that we want them to. You know, I was recently talking with a father and just asking him about, because I don't know this person real well. We've only been here in Florida for a year, just over a year, and I haven't even known this person the whole time we've been here. So we're having this conversation. I'm just talking about their children, and they're kind of explaining some of the different dynamics of the situation with their kids, and some they are very close to, and some the relationship is like what you're talking about here. It's a lot more difficult.
Kind of strained. Yeah. So let's hear from that perspective. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's the advice that you are looking for. Okay, so here's one parent said, push them to do life on their own. So this sounds like it's maybe a parent who is struggling to get their child to fly the nest, maybe struggling to get them to start taking responsibility, rather than, just looking to mom and dad for that. Encourage them to be problem solvers of whatever situations they're facing. Nowadays, way too many children are entitled and have been handed everything to them. It's a different era than when we were young. That is true.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's okay to let your child make mistakes. Ooh, that's kind of what you were talking about there at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Letting them make the mistake. They'll learn more from their own mistakes than from others' examples most of the time. Isn't that sad that we are like that as human beings?
Yeah.
That we learn from our own mistakes rather than looking to the example of others. Oftentimes that is the case.
Well, and I just think it's our own pride. Our own pride says, yeah, well, that was you. That didn't work for you. You failed. You did something wrong, whatever. But hey, not me.
Yeah, I'm going to go down the same path and it'll be different.
Yeah. I was listening to a book recently by Kevin Hart talking about monsters and how to tame them. If just fair warning, if you listen to it, there's a lot of vulgar language. So just putting that out there so you understand.
Good to know.
But he talks about the monster of not me, and this idea that we'll be the exception somehow. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something that each of us deal with because we do have that pride within us. So sometimes we have to learn from our own mistakes. And of course, the book of Proverbs talks about that, that, hey, there are those that can watch somebody else make a mistake, and learn from it. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people, they have to learn through making their own mistakes. Mm-hmm. And that's what's hard as a parent.
That's right.
Even though we're not to the adult stage yet, our kids are to the point where we are letting them learn and fall and fail in areas that aren't going to be life altering.
Yeah. And that reminds me of something my mom said to me one time when I was so crushed by something that happened to my daughter. She said to me, God's plan for your children is not for them to have a pain-free life. And I was like,
Wish it were.
True, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because my plan for my children is for them to have pain-free life and everything to go great. But God's plan for them is not that, because we learn from the pain, we learn from these trials, we depend on God during them, and our kids need that too. But it's hard to watch them make a mistake.
It's totally hard. Now this next one, they say this, and remember, we're talking about relationships that aren't necessarily cozy.
Well said.
We can disagree, but without being judgmental.
I like that.
And it's like we talked about before. If I see my child getting ready to do something that I think is going to cause them a lot of harm in one way, shape, or another, I do need to speak up. But how we say that is important. The sarcasm, the talking down, like that might work when they're small, and I don't think you should do that then either. But as adults, they just won't tolerate that.
Yeah.
So without being judgmental is key, and what this parent says is fantastic. I've been willing to be transparent with them, and I try to encourage them and be sure to point out their strengths.
That's great. Pointing out their strengths.
So it's not just about what you've done wrong,
yeah.
But it's about praising them, encouraging them, building them up.
Which is important in any relationship with adult children, but maybe even more so if the relationship is strained and difficult. Man, focus on the good. Find the good, even if you have to weed through some bad to find it. Find that good, find their strengths, and then talk about that. Shed the light on that. I love that. Great advice.
Yeah, because that positivity and encouragement, this is not what this episode's about, but the positivity and encouragement is the crack in the door let you back in and work on building that relationship. But this parent continues on and says, they also know while we can help in certain ways, we will not enable them.
Good.
Especially when it comes to money. And of course, money is a big issue in a lot of relationships. And that's a hard line too. How do I know what is helping and how do I know what is enabling bad behavior or enabling them to continue to harm themselves or other people?
We've been suggested the topic of tough love for an episode, and at some point we're going to really dig into that topic of tough love.
But if this is you in that situation, like you're with this parent trying to figure out how do I enable, what's enabling, what's helping them, spend some time with the story with the prodigal son and just kind of look at that situation. Because the way that this particular son found his way home was he had to get to a place, and there's a phrase in there that has stuck out to me, and I hope I never have to get there with my own kids.
Amen.
But it says, this child got to a place where no one gave to him. In other words, no one is helping him now. No one is enabling him. And it was then and only then that he came to his right mind, his right thinking, and the relationship was restored. This parent continues on. We are very blessed that they want to have family days on a regular basis. And I think that all of the above contributes to that. And I love that even as adults, they're trying to have family days together.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's my dream.
That's the dream.
Oh, my dream.
Yeah.
Maybe not weekly. Weekly might be a little much when you have a bunch of adult children, but maybe monthly having family days. Sounds exciting.
I also think, they say, that it's been a part of them becoming more respectful towards us and our standards, filtering their language, purposely being quiet when we pray. Lately have specifically asked both of us to pray for her rather than her usual send out positive vibes.
So progress is being made because of that other stuff that she mentions, disagreeing without being judgmental, being transparent, pointing out the strengths, all of that, helping without enabling, all of that now is lending toward some progress.
Yeah.
Being made.
I mean, I just think of a couple of the examples that they give as far as language. Do you want your kids to swear around your house? Probably not. But is it worth yelling at them about?
No.
Absolutely not. They're not getting quiet while you're trying to pray for your meal. Are you going to rebuke them for that? Or are you just going to pray and then continue on? So the attitude and learning to what battles are important and what aren't. And I can see that this family here has made progress, as you talked about, and that's the blueprint, though. They've given the blueprint there for how to help restore and heal some of that relationship.
Okay, we want to look at another perspective that I think is going to be really good for us. We're going to hear from a parent whose adult child is living with them. So the adult child is living with them. And I'm sure this has its own unique challenges.
Is this your dream?
Yeah, I think so.
Having all your kids live at the house as adults?
Okay, so here's actually the dream.
The kids don't get married and they just stay with us?
No, that's not the dream. We live on a piece of property here in Palm Coast. Next door to us, there is a wooded area that's one lot. Across the street from us is 3 wooded areas that are 3 lots. I'm going to make an Osterkamp compound.
Compound,
yes.
Yes.
We have 4 daughters. 1 will live next door. 3 will live across the street. They will get married. They will have children. We will build a pool. And all the grandkids are going to come over here and swim in our pool and hang out with us and have sleepovers at our house. And it's going to be happy and perfect.
You're going to have to sell a lot more books to make that happen.
I don't think that's where the money's
we
at.
need your help with this compound. So just go to Amazon right now, Balancing the Crazy, Lysandra Osterkamp. Go buy 10,000 copies because this just got expensive.
I know, right? Especially with the land down here. Whew. Okay, so this is what they say, children living at home who are adults. It's almost like pick your battles.
Yeah,
Very
just
good advice.
Just like the parent, that we just talked about.
They're adults, but living in your house with your rules. So I just decided to treat him the son, like an adult, but explained to him that I'm okay with him staying here, but the rules that I put on him were totally different than when he was a kid.
For sure.
He also knew that if he started breaking the rules, he would have to find a new place to live. You can't expect them to have a ton of things that they can't do, but he knew that he was expected, what was expected, and if he didn't obey, he would be out. It actually worked very well. Not saying that he obeyed completely, but when that happened, we had a talk, told him why we didn't accept what he had done. And if it continues, you're out. So they gave him like that opportunity. Okay, you broke the rule. We're going to give you one more chance, and then you're out. So you have to be strict, but also loving. And it seemed to work well for us, this parent says.
Well, and I think one of the things, and they don't talk about this, but I think one of the things that's wise in this situation is it almost like a tenant agreement.
Yes.
Where it's, okay, these are the written things that we're going to agree to together. And so it's not just something that's maybe said verbally, although that may work for their situation. But having the expectations on paper somewhere so that that it's something we can go back to. Hey, remember, we talked about this, and this.
Yep.
But I think it's great that they understand it can't be the same rules. You know, if our kids decide to live here after 18, we can't have the same rules as when they were 12.
Right.
In fact, our 16-year-old doesn't have the same rules as our 12-year-old. So I can't expect that my 21-year-old would have the same rules.
Right. But there has to be some sort of rules, especially if you have younger children still living in the house and an adult child is living there.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to make sure that that younger child is being raised in a right environment and the way that you want, that to go. So that's something to consider too, if that's your situation.
This parent says, when your child leaves home, you as parents evaluate the entire experience of parenting. You redefine your authority and redefine your relationship with your child, who is increasingly making decisions independent of parental authority and control. And that's such a good perspective, because parenting in this stage involves caring, being available, helping without controlling, accepting the grown child's separate identity. Mm-hmm. And that one can be very difficult depending upon your personality. If you're a more controlling type parent, that's a little harder to accept.
I agree. I am a more controlling parent.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you'll have to deal with, continue to deal with. But I think one of the most difficult challenges about this stage is that the parenting role becomes a less central role in a parent's identity.
Oh, that's going to be hard.
And so it can really feel like we have to redefine who we are. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the reasons why we constantly encourage parents to invest in their marriage relationship.
Yes.
Because I am a parent, but first and foremost, I am the husband to Lysandra. Mm-hmm. And our relationship is important. So you have to remember that. I am a father, yes, but that is not the majority of my identity. So if you can concentrate and have a proper understanding of what your identity is, it will help you in this season of parenting adults.
Right.
Because some parents who their whole world is just parenting, mm-hmm. when they get to this stage, they really have an identity crisis. They don't know who they are. They don't know what to do.
Right. And I would add to that, not disagreeing with it, but add to it that your first identity is found in Christ. Your first identity is who God made you to be and who you are in Him. You are a child of God if you've put your faith and trust in Jesus. And that is who you are, first of all. Then, yes, the spouse, then the parent, but the parent is number 3. So make sure that you keep that in balance as you go through this parenting journey, is that's the third of who you are. But I do think that that's going to be hard for me when the kids leave home is, every day my life has been like, okay, what do you need help with in school? Where are you going today? Did you brush your teeth? Like,
yeah.
All of the stuff that we do. And then when that's all gone, it's just totally stripped away from us. Now who am I? But like you said, as long as you've thought about your identity in Christ and you've thought about your identity as spouses, you're going to have a lot to live for still. A lot to live for. And I think it'll be a great season.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But one of the things we have to realize is, as a parent, is we don't get do-overs.
Ooh, that's good. We do not.
There's no do-overs.
And that is one piece of advice that one of the parents sent in. And so we're going to end today's episode with 3 different parents and something that they sent in that I think is a really good way to wrap this baby up. Okay. You don't get do-overs. You're raising adult kids. Best advice ever.
Adults. You're raising adults, not kids.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're raising adults, not kids. I'm going to work on that whole reading thing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we have said throughout our podcast is you're not raising kids. We're not raising kids. We're trying to raise adults who can make an impact in this world.
Yes. That's right.
So I love their attitude.
Okay. Next parent for our final wrapping this up. Be eternally grateful if you have a good relationship with your adult children. That is a gift from God that many do not enjoy.
And that's sad. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that I think about at times because we do have 4 daughters. So the percentages say that we'll have at least one of our daughters who chooses, something different than what we would want, and may not enjoy a relationship with us, a close one. So that's hard to think about because that a lot of people just don't enjoy that close relationship.
And here's a quote that I want to read from one mom, and this is just the perfect way to close this out. Listen to this. We are fallible. We make mistakes, but God is good, steadfast, and his book is filled with wisdom. All we have to do is ask and seek it. Seek it. Grace for the moment, grace for the day, grace for the season.
I think that's fantastic.
That is.
Who was this parent right there? This is a very positive thing. I think that we can give this person credit. I want to know who this is.
Can you guess? I wonder if you could guess. Well, you don't know everybody that we talked to.
I don't. No.
This is Jarnett Smith.
Okay.
Does that surprise you?
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah, and I love
so good.
I love what Jarnett says here, and I think she should get credit for that because that is absolutely fantastic. Hit the nail on the head. And, of course, her and Mark are absolutely just fantastic parents.
Phenomenal parents.
Doing a great job with their kids and have beautiful relationship with them. So thank you, Jarnett, for investing in all of us.
Yes.
And giving us some wisdom on parenting in this friendship stage of life. So we'll talk about a family meeting tonight. And just want you, if you're in this friendship stage of parenting adults, talk about how you can improve. What are the things that maybe I'm not doing well on? And you've listened to some of the advice from some of these other parents, and you say, you know what, that's a really good idea. I'm not really doing well in how I communicate what I disagree with, or fill in the blank. Spend some time talking about how much you pray for your adult children. Do you pray for them? How much do you pray for them? And it's like Lysandra talked about. It's time for us as parents to up our prayer game. But I know a lot of our listeners, you're not in this stage yet. Like Lysandra and I are not in this stage. So one of the things we want to encourage you to do is to really consider that everything that you do and say with and for your kids is now is leading up to this friendship stage of adult children. Every single one of us as parents, we want to have that good relationship with our kids. And so you need to think about that. We need to be investing in that now and getting ourselves ready for it. So are there some changes that you need to implement now so that you can have a better opportunity to have a great friendship with your children when they're adults? Are you praying for your kids in the stage they're in right now? Because as we talked about with all these parents, the number one thing among them was pray, 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 pray. So just a little thought for our family meeting tonight.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have you subscribed to the Family Meeting Podcast yet? If not, do that right away. And if you found this information to be helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org. You'll find every single one of our podcast episodes there. You will find link to YouTube, our YouTube channel. So if you, for whatever reason, decide you want to watch the video, you want to see our faces, then you can do that. We also have, we spend a little bit more time with our YouTube viewers. They get a little glimpse behind the recording. So
yeah, but we have faces for radio. We do not have faces for TV.
I know.
But it's your choice if you want to look on YouTube.
But you can go to familymeeting.org and find all that stuff there. Maybe you want to email us, info@familymeeting.org. You can shoot us a text or call and send a voicemail as well at 904-257-3062. And speaking of sending us an email,
we were so happy to receive an email from one of our listeners, and we want to invite all of you to join us for our next meeting as we look at the topic suggested by this fabulous listener. We are going to flip the coin and discuss how to handle your adult relationship with your parents.
Oh, okay. So you're not talking about adult children now. You're talking about, I'm an adult, I am a parent, I've got to deal with my parents.
Yes. It can be tricky sometimes. What if they aren't respecting you? What if the relationship is troubled? How can we best honor God in our relationships with our parents?
That's going to be good.
It's going to be good. And this is a family meeting. This is all about family relationships, as we say at the beginning of every episode. So not just about your relationship with your kid and your spouse, but what about your parents? So we're going to look at that next week.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. We hope to see you in Thanatasasa. But if not, have a great week anyway. This meeting is adjourned. Another one down.
Ow!
Yes. So let me ask you this.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm tired. I just did a podcast.
What do you think will be the hardest thing for you in your children becoming adults?
Not being able to tell them what to do.
Okay.
It's the control thing.
Okay.
Well, no. I changed my answer.
Okay.
I changed my answer.
All right. Change it, and then I'll tell you what I thought you were going to say.
Watching them leave.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I think that having them leave would be hardest for you.
When you first asked that question, I was thinking they're not going to leave. Like, they'll just be here, and it's going to be hard not to control them.
The compound is a reality.
Yes, I am. I'm going to be so disappointed.
With the money we have, we might be able to put up little
tents,
little homes in the back.
We could do tents in the backyard. Why would they not want to live here?
Tiny houses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Having them leave would be very difficult.
Is that the hardest thing for you?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Because you're not controlling anyway.
Not too much. I mean, there are times where I really have to fight certain things. The volume sometimes where I'm just like, just let them be kids, you know?
Oh, that's funny. And that hardly ever bothers me.
Yeah. So, but having them leave will be difficult. I'm kind of curious for our YouTube watchers. If you have adult children, what's been the hardest thing as they've moved into adulthood? Or you don't have adult children yet, but you're thinking about it. We're talking about it. What do you think is going to be the hardest thing for you? You know, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Have a little conversation there. But now it's time for us to get out of here.
Hit the road.
So we will see you all next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.